The Call of Duty Modern Warfare reboot goes way beyond what the original games ever set out to do. Each year we see the series broaching new ground, even in small steps, pushing a new technical boundary in one way or another. Whether it's the sublime lighting and material work of Advanced Warfare, or even Black Ops 4, where the twist was the open map design of the Blackout mode. This time though, well, developer Infinity Ward is at the helm, and it truly takes us to uncharted waters for the series. A comprehensive engine rewrite is in clear view, and that filters through to every aspect of its design. Today then, well, we have a quick look at what I played at a recent Call of Duty event. Going all the way to LA, I sat with hundreds of other journalists to get a decent sense of the game's multiplayer, and the outlook, the first impression, is really positive. PS4 Pro is in focus here, and for the first time we can show this footage running with 4K output selected. It's a window into the image quality you can expect on an Ultra HD TV, and yes, high dynamic range support will be in as well. Now, as ever with racing games or shooters like Modern Warfare, this capture will be best seen at source file quality from our Patreon at digitalfoundry.net, but regardless of how you're viewing this video, it's the best we've seen this game looking on console to date. What can we expect from the multiplayer then? Let's take a step back for a moment. For many, the original Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare still lives long in the memory, and for good reason. There was an authenticity to the boots on the ground action, the sound design was great, and the layering of detail on each multiplayer map gave it longevity. You had a perk system that worked wonderfully online, and each gun and attachment unlock felt like an event. By today's standards, it is admittedly simplistic, though even the recent remaster holds up pretty well. Looking back, the draw really is in how it struck a balance between realism and offering a solid gameplay loop at 60 FPS. So, over 10 years on, the expectations in this reboot are sky high. Rather than simply recreating the same game from that blueprint though, Infinity Ward is bravely going in a new direction. First up, let's talk resolutions. Based on this pro capture at 4K, pixel counting Modern Warfare is a huge challenge, but I can say what I can see. The target res is 3840 by 2160, but much like World War II and Infinite Warfare, it's using smart rendering techniques behind the scenes. In the main, temporal reconstruction is at the heart of the process, to create a 4K-like image based on data from previous frames. There's no absolute native resolution to draw on, every frame hands in a different result based on my testing. It's in constant flux, a dynamic resolution where, even within a single frame, there can be different readings. The end result, certainly stood still, is a 1-to-1 pixel match for a 4K image. Ultimately then, Pro is punching above its weight in delivering an Ultra HD effect. Between the dynamic resolution and temporal reconstruction, there's a lot going on behind the scenes though. To hide the wirework thoroughly, Infinity Ward relies on post-process effects, motion blur being a key one. Slow the footage down and yes, there's a full-screen velocity-based camera blur in play. It's unusual for Call of Duty multiplayer, where the frame is traditionally kept clean, and it's something we typically see in campaign cutscenes. Here though, that motion blur is lightly applied. The upshot is it blends the reconstruction of the image as you turn. With the camera held still, the image resolves to 4K, but in motion it would be prone to breaking up, revealing stair-stepping. Motion blur in this case works in Modern Warfare's favour, and at 60 FPS it can be hard to pick out. Now, as ever, this is an early build on PS4 Pro. We're still a fair few months off the October 25th launch, and there's plenty that could change to its design. There's a beta coming mid-September too, where possibly we'll see a few enhancements, a kind of in-between in terms of optimization. What I can say is performance in this press event build lurks in the 55 to 60 FPS region. It's too soon to pull out the framerate graph tools on what's not public-facing code, but certainly what I saw runs at a perceptual 60 FPS most of the time, and that should bear out for most of the gameplay here. Now, the stability of the framerate does vary based on the map you're playing, and indeed so does the ambition of the visuals. Right here we have a 2v2 gunfight game where map detail can be contained more sensibly on maps like King and Stack, which are mostly comprised of simple geometric designs with corrugated metal and wood materials. Inevitably, most of the action here breezes through at 60 FPS and even more taxing foliage-heavy maps like Pine get away with a near flawless 60. Pine is a special stage in fact, one of the few to really push heavily on shaded foliage elements which Call of Duty tends to shy away from. Thanks to the smaller scale of these 3 maps, the instances of LOD transitions of pop-in are kept relatively rare too. Next up, there's the mid-tier maps. This is where the Modern Warfare engine's improved tile-based streaming gets a proper workout. 6v6 arenas spread out while impressively keeping a lot of that dense detail rendered up close, where pop-in is still pretty minimal. The Azir map is pretty great for this. Brick walls and rocky inclines are beautifully defined with a tessellated effect. There's an over 5 times boost in geometric detail over previous Infinity Ward games, and it really shows. A careful culling of triangles based on the player view helps the team squeeze more detail on screen. The upshot is more objects on screen and at a higher density too, all the while sticking to 60 FPS. Proper physically based rendering comes out especially well in the light of day too. In fact, this Modern Warfare reboot marks the first time we've seen every material in a Call of Duty use PBR, giving it this more photorealistic style. It even informs the design of the night vision goggle segments, also known as spectral rendering. It has the engine rendering infrared and thermal heat parts of the light spectrum in real time. It's good timing for the upgrade too. Aesthetically, more true-to-life lighting sits well with Modern Warfare, which is going for the more authentic military setup. It also goes hand in hand with the team's use of photogrammetry, a crucial part of developing the scene. Now of course we've seen photogrammetry used in shooters before, but scanning real-life objects means material values get accurately represented in-game. Whether that's the roughness, opacity or reflectivity of the material, the way light bounces off a gun for example should match the real-life interaction. Now there's one last tier of map size I did get to try out in 20v20 domination games. Ania's Palace rounded out the PlayStation with an absolute sprawl of terrain, going well past the boundaries of the level. Look past the palace itself and there's orchards in the distance forming a gorgeous vista. It's surprising how much detail is put into something that, as far as I can tell anyway, can't be explored, but there it is. Now admittedly there is more in the way of intrusive pop-in for shadows and foliage too, a sign of it being an early build, and a point that will ideally be improved by release. The scale of this level though is among the largest I've seen for a traditional style multiplayer game, and it's a real highlight. Increased map scale then is a real bullet point for this reboot. We're long past playing in restricted symmetrical areas bound by last gen GPU memory. As iconic as some of the maps in the original Modern Warfare are, it's time to move into new territory, and Infinity Ward has done exactly that. Now Ania's Palace is the only level I got to see which really boasted this extra scale. It makes great use of it, though potentially we'll see larger areas in the final game too. As an aside, it's impossible to not see a comparison with the Battlefield series here. The push for more players and bigger stages makes the experience more comparable to the big sandbox levels of DICE's series. The two series are getting something of a convergence in features then. Destruction physics may be missing in COD, but 60 FPS is much more tightly held overall, which seems like the right trade-off for the series. Speaking on comparisons with Battlefield, vehicles are a bit more of a feature this time. Sparingly dotted around the level are ATVs. These, in a small way, help you hop from one zone to the next. The controls and speed are very different to the ATVs in Black Ops 4's Blackout mode though, so be warned. They're just less wieldy overall. The driver is more vulnerable to attack, making it crucial to have an ally seated with you to keep up the offensive. I found these also push the streaming technology of the new COD engine harder than running on foot. You'll be zipping across the map at pace, though thankfully I didn't experience any major frame rate drops as a result. All of which rounds out one of the more fascinating series reboots I've seen. Personally, I can't wait to see more of Modern Warfare, to see its progress as we near launch in October. The engine design feels robust, the gameplay is as snappy and low latency as ever, and that's despite so much of its tech, notably the lighting and materials, being rebuilt. There's a lot more to touch on, and I'll be back with a more detailed tech breakdown in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. In summary, and based on first impressions, PS4 Pro is handing out a very solid 4K picture thanks to very smart engineering of the frame. Based on the rules of perception, every frame feeds into the next to create something more. The material work is on another level compared to previous Call of Duties, and above all, map scale is ramped up considerably for the regular multiplayer. It opens the series up to new possibilities for sure. With that said, the focus on 60 FPS gameplay isn't lost in the process. The series has matured, but it's still distinctly a successor to the Modern Warfare line. But that's all for today. If you did find this quick look insightful in any way, please do give us a like or subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications as any video lands. To get this video at source file quality at 4K, check out our Patreon at digitalfoundry.net, and to get in touch with me or the team directly, just use Twitter. But from me for now, thanks for watching.